Okay, John the van guy. Another nice day working on Talbot Express. This is the Mark II. I've done a number of videos on taking the head off. I realise that I haven't done much on, putting the head back really, done much on taking the head off in the first place. So I thought I'd quickly cover some of the things I've found, some of the new things I've found, and some ideas which might help anybody attempting to do this. It's not as bad as you think, actually, once you get into it. The torque setting, I'll go into that. It's a little bit fancy the way they actually torque the heads up on these things, or even take the head off. Okay, let's start. I've taken the head off already. Now, what you've got to do when you're taking the head off is, I've found you don't have to release both sides of the engine. You do have to drop the engine because the bolts at the back, where they sit at the back, tend to be difficult to get out because when you lift them up, they'll touch the body. So you need to drop the engine. So you need to put a jack underneath to support the engine with a block, just underneath the sump will do. And then all you need to do is release, I think there's 3 bolts here, 3 bolts there, and you can leave this end, and then the engine will drop quite nicely. One of the things you've got to do, of course, is to take off your exhaust. I wouldn't take your exhaust manifold off if you can help it, because that can lead to other problems. But obviously, if it's leaking, you need to do it. Now, this is the water pipe that goes at the back that people mention that's got to be released, because that is, there's 2 bolts holding that onto the block itself. So you will have to probably undo those too, so you can take the head off. So you have to get underneath really to do that. Right, now this is the, you can see the top of the thermostat housing there. And I've left the carburettor on the head and the induction manifold on the head. So I've left the exhaust manifold and induction manifold on. Various ancillaries. First of all, of course, you've got to drain the water. You can drain the oil as well. If you've got obviously water in the oil, it's probably sensible to do that. But draining the water is something which to keep in mind. One of the things people do is drain it from the radiator. Well, that's fine. It's a butterfly unit of bolts at the bottom of the radiator. You just turn that and it will drain, but you will end up still with an awful lot of coolant in the block itself. Now keep that in mind, because you'll have to release that. Now, to get at that, you've got to go underneath, and on the side, I don't know if I can show you, you need a torch. Yes, I do have a torch. You need plenty of light for these things. Get one of these LED twists, they're great. If I get underneath, I might be able to show you this. Oh dear. So, show you where it is. On the side of the engine. Can I reach it? Oh no, I can't get down there. Sorry, I've got it too low. Oh well, I can tell you, it's not far from the gearbox, about halfway up side of the engine, and it's a bolt head. You'll see it there. You've got to release that. That will allow the coolant out of your engine. So I can't show you. Now on the 91 models, you'll find that the bolts have changed from hexagonal heads to what they call Torx bolts, and these are stretch bolts. The hexagonal head ones are not stretch bolts, so you can reuse them, but the Torx ones, apparently they say not to reuse them. It's not advisable because they're stretch bolts, and these are the ones. I've taken them out there. I've got some more coming. Now see, there are funny heads. Now, to get those out, you will definitely need a T55 socket, which actually comes in the advanced socket set from Halfords. In fact, it's already in there, T55. So you'll definitely need that, otherwise you'll not get the things out. What you also will need is a really heavy duty, so I found this is a heavy duty breaker bar. A real meaty business, which I use for something else, and honestly, worth the money, because they're under quite a lot of torque in there. They're really tight. So, and obviously you take them out in a sequence. When you're undoing, you start at number 10. Number 10 is here, is around here. So, and you work in an anti-clockwise way. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, where is it? 4, 3, 2, 1. That's it. So that's how you do it. When you're tightening, you go in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you go like clockwise, and you end up at 10. It's just this is what they recommend. Now, while I'm at it, and we're talking about tightening and untightening, what you got to do is crack them all first. They're so tight. Don't undo just individually by themselves. You go around, crack them all, then slowly loosen again, then slowly loosen out a bit more, then a bit more until they're all loose. Otherwise, there's a danger of warping the head, and you certainly do have to use a lot of pressure. Now, tightening is the thing when you actually get the heads. Now, it's slightly different for the different models. I've taken this off the Talbot Express Owners Club and Forum, and it shows you the tightening sequence, which I've just told you about. Now, to tighten the head bolts on all the engines, it seems you tighten all the head bolts to 36 foot-pound using that sequence, starting at 1. And then you slacken them all off. And you slacken again. When you're slackening, you start from this end and work your way around anti-clockwise. Now you slacken them all off to 14.5 foot-pound. 14.5 foot-pound. Right. Now this is where you get the differences. If you've got a 1989 engine, you will then, according to this, you will then need to tighten each bolt up from 14.5 through 180 degrees. And they show you there. Now they do it by, and then because you remember these bolts have got faces on the original bolts, and then a further 35 degrees, which is basically half a face, which allows you to tighten them up. It sounds a bit faffy, but that's how you do it. And what they've done is what I did. You use use like a Tipex, or I used like an enamel white paint, so you can actually mark the edges and mark the body of the body just underneath the hexagonal nut, and then you can turn around accordingly. So you go 180, turn the nut from one mark to the other, and then if you're doing half a face, that'll give you your extra 35 degrees. Yeah, but that's on the 89 models. Now on the 90 models, I've drawn this out to show you how do you do it. What have I done with the piece of paper? Of course, now you're using torque heads, which are slightly different. So you take it down, the tightening procedure. So on the back of these. Oh yeah. You take it down, the tightening procedure is slightly different. And I've worked out how to do it. You've got to do, you take it down to the 14.5, again, that's 14.5 foot-pound. And then this time you've got to tighten 300 degrees. So there's that, excuse the diagram. Now 300 degrees, a way of getting there is starting, you're turning, use these convoluted things to give you a clue, but you want to turn it 3/4, quarter, a half, 3/4. That gives you 270 degrees. Now you want another 30 degrees to take it up to 300. Now another 30 degrees will mean a third of a quarter. So it's like, if you look at a clock, it's like, I suppose it's like 10 o'clock, the 10 on a clock, as opposed to the 11. So the 10, up to the 10, 10-2 will give you a third of a quarter. if that makes any sense. Well, that's what I'm working to anyway. And that will give you your 300 degrees, believe it or not. Okay. Well, I hope that helps a bit. If not totally confuse you. Now, one thing I've just come across, I'm doing this of my own volition. One thing worries me if you're doing these talks is, what about the where you're talking the bolts into? So you're going into these wells here, supposing they've got stuff in them. You can't compress water, you can't compress oil, so you need some way of cleaning them out. I've blown them out already with my handy compressor jet, which works really well and worth doing, but I wasn't satisfied with that, so I've developed this other little method. Get yourself some of these Spencer wells and cut off little squares. Let's see if I can do this without, put the phone like that so you can see. Ooh. See, Spencer wells. Now what I've done, I cut out from kitchen roll a little square, put them in, wrap around, and then go down each well, and these Spencer wells will fit down the well, and swivel, just twist it a bit and then bring it up again. You don't leave it down there obviously. And so I've done this already and it's still a bit mucky, but there's a bit of water in a few of them. So that's just a little trick of mine, which I've developed to actually make sure the wells are clean before you do all this fancy talking up. It seems a bit pointless if you're pushing down against water. You probably mess up your talks. So there you go. That's probably enough talk from me. There we are, the rocker box head. I've cleaned up the place. You can see I've left the exhaust manifolds on. To get off the belts, that's the water pump pulley. To get the belt off that, there's no adjustments. You've just got to get a screwdriver or something in and turn the engine. It's a 35mm socket, which you put on the crankshaft. Turn the crankshaft. You've got the plugs out already, so the engine's easy to turn. And you totally force the belt off. A bit primitive, but it kind of works. Oh yeah, another tip while I'm on. You see I've done 12 minutes already. This is probably too long, but never mind. Is standard, you'll see on the net, you go in with a flat edge. You need a steel ruler. Well, I'm using a steel ruler. You can probably get better ones. And you go all sorts of different angles all over. And the tolerances, the standard tolerance is, I'm using this, if I can hold it steady, is, what is it? Nope. No, hold on. Bear with me, bear with me. Can I see it? I can't even see it. Oh, there you go. It's, well, believe me if you can't see it, it's 0.02 of an inch or 0.05 millimeter. You might just be able to see that. And you go down both sides, sliding it like that underneath the ruler. And if you can get it underneath, then I've got a warp in your block somewhere. Often they go between these. I've had that before. So that's another thing to watch out for. My son-in-law's dad, he's done these before, and he said one method they used to use, which seems to be novel, is get yourself a piece of glass, cover it in oil, a smear of oil, and then lay the head on it. Where the bits where the head isn't covered, you will actually see that on the impression if you've got warp or not. That sounds like quite a good idea. I haven't used it myself, but to do that, of course, I'd need to take some of these extras off probably. So I've really got a flat surface. I'd have to take them off anyway. I was having the head skimmed. I mean, skimming will cost you about 50 quid to £70. So if you've got a warp, so it's not the end of the world if you have. Okay, I think that's all I can think of at the moment. So a long one, this one. So I hope that